Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, a white lady is called out after a video of her explaining what she's calling white culture. Now, during her explanation, she talks about different ethnicities and she even goes on to say there is yellow and red culture. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't know if there's anything like red or yellow culture, even white culture. Anyway, let's take a look at her video.
On today's edition with Lady Bedazzled Hannah, I will be answering your question, what is white culture? The wording of white culture is a broad term that I use that umbrellas the many diversities within us white skin-toned people. And I think the same can be said of other ethnicities because with brown culture, red culture, yellow culture, black culture, as well as white culture, we need a foundation that builds into all that we really are on every level. It can get really complicated because we get into all the factors of nationalities, countries, ethnicities, cultures, and races, but not one person is just one background. So this is where it's really interesting and fascinating. So to me, white culture is industrialism, cultivation, intelligence, cleanliness, order, generosity, and so much more. Check out my ethnic background. Don't forget some things don't show up in the test results. Good and evil exist in all cultures.
Now, the interesting part about this video is the description of the white culture umbrella. According to her, it is industrialism, cultivation, intelligence, kindliness, order, generosity, and so much more. Now, is this what you guys think as well? Anyway, this is social media and people are already calling her out. Let's take a look at this number of stitches and find out if this is what others think about this as well. Make sure to watch this video to the end because now we're just getting started. So for now, let's get into the stitches. Then afterwards, I share my own thoughts about this video. Here are the stitches.
Cultivation, intelligence.
I'm not even mad. That's the problem. Like, what are you talking about? This woman is literally naming adjectives and just characteristics of a person. Like, I'm lost. Like, you're saying attributes of a culture that apply to anything. It's like, bro, you're not even being specific. I'm not trying to listen to this girl's video, bro, because but you know, at the same time, like, what are you talking about? Like, just the sentences you're forming to describe your own opinions and thoughts? Like, listen to yourself, bro. White culture equals
And so
No, sis. White culture is dialing 911, asking for a manager, running up the stairs in a horror movie, bringing up a theater at said horror movie, shoot up a school, having a large platform as a scooter, joining the KKK, flying a Trump flag in the back of your truck, wearing anything Confederacy, putting costumes on animals, wearing your outside shoes in the house, letting the cats walk on the countertop, not washing your legs in the shower, explaining someone else's culture to them, eating deep-fried cauliflower, protesting for dead animals but not people, bringing guns to church, becoming fragile when we're caught out on anything, thinking we're superior than other races when we have absolutely zero evidence, revising history, telling people born in America to go back to their country, listening to country music, holding a dead fish on a dating app, thinking Jesus is white, believing unfettered capitalism is the best thing for them, putting raisins in shit that it has no business being in, eating cottage cheese, knowing exactly how many colored friends you have, saying colored, unseasoned chicken, bringing potato salad to the cookout, driving in circles and calling it a sport, only knowing how to cook meth, getting divorced from your sister, unpaid internships, bumper stickers, music piracy, New Balance shoes, $10 coffees, calling your parents by their first name, religions that their parents don't belong to, going to the farmer's market, camping, ugly sweater parties, shopping without being harassed, having your house appraised at fair value, not having to teach my kids how to deal with cops, knowing your kids will be given curricular material that will testify to the existence of their race, not seeing color, forgetting the past, experiencing prejudice and calling it racism, having your voice heard, believing your struggle is equivalent to oppression.
brown culture, red culture.
Alright, I'm just gonna stop you right there. I know all us brown people look the same, but we're all very different. Take India, where my parents are from. There are scores of languages. And within those languages even, there's different cultural and religious communities. And while I will admit people who have brown skin tone will call ourselves brown, I'd be stunned if anybody calls themselves yellow. Which makes me think maybe you shouldn't also call anybody yellow. And there's lots of ethnicities who are East Asian. But you don't know that is really your failing. But this video was about white culture, so let's go back to that.
It can get really complicated because we get into all the factors of nationalities,
Sure does.
countries, ethnicities, cultures, and races.
All right, so you can tell that there are different nationalities in whiteness. Good job. There are plenty of differences between traditional communities from people with white skin.
Ethnicities, cultures, and races, but not one person is just one background.
Actually, I am, but that's not what you're saying, right? You're saying white Americans are many things. Okay, so I will say that I happen to grow up in a part of America where white Americans often were all Hungarian, all Czech, or maybe half Italian and half Irish. And I love this guy who made this joke about Americans going to Ireland.
Called When an American Spends 4 Hours Telling You How Irish They Are.
So there are actually plenty of white Americans who are tied to their roots, maybe to excess. If you're from that original country, you might feel a little pressed. But there are white Americans, not you apparently, but who do have cultural roots. But keep going.
So to me, white culture is industrialism, cultivation, intelligence, cleanliness, order.
So she started kind of right. Industrialization really did take hold and become global because of European Americans and Europeans. Now, after that, once she says industrialization, she says things like cleanliness and civility and all that kind of stuff. And what she means is what she perceives as cleanliness, what she perceives as civility. And I would argue that while industrialization started in Western countries, so Europe, America, Canada, that the thing she's calling white culture is actually capitalism. And that's something that has gone beyond race. I would be hard-pressed to believe that she sees Mexico as a European society. It's a very industrialized society. Not to mention many people are ethnically European and probably have the same Germanic stock that she does. What she's trying to do is justify a sort of white supremacy, where she has flattened both whiteness and everybody's else's race and conflated everything else to make herself feel good. But she ends like this, so she knows what she's doing.
Don't forget some things don't show up in the test results. Good and evil exists in all culture.
And so does stupidity.
Of white culture is a broad term.
I'm too tired to even deal with this right now. Did she say white culture? When did white become a culture? I'm going back to bed.
Cleanliness.
How do I keep finding these people? I mean, at this point, it almost pains me to respond to this kind of lowbrow reasoning, but I mean, I guess I have to, right? So, and certainly not for this girl, though. I mean, look at her, she's wearing all white, so that already tells you where her head is at. But for just about anybody who stumbles upon what she's saying, and for some reason or the other doesn't have that good a grasp of the English language, this all-white girl is conflating culture and quality. Let's go to the dictionary.
Broad term that I use that umbrellas the.
That video is extremist, and I'm going to try to explain in my limited capacity why. First of all, she tries to talk about her way of white culture. Don't come up with your own definition of words and phrases. There are already definitions out there. Stick with the ones that are already out there. We don't need your definition. That's one. Two, there's no such thing as white culture. There's French culture, Greek culture, there's different cultures of different ethnicities that have white skin, but there's not a white culture. It's not a thing, okay? There is a black culture, okay? And the reason there is a black culture is because we, okay, the white people, stole their history, their roots, their connection to where they came from. See, everyone thinks of Africa as just one big country of black people, and it's not. It's a continent that had many different tribes, many different nations, many different languages, many different cultures on it. It was vast. It was as vast as Europe, if not more, with all these different ethnicities and all these different cultures mixing together. And what happened was they got nabbed, brought over here for the slave trade, and they lost that connection. They don't know what nation they come from. They don't know what people they are. They don't know what their culture is. And we took that from them. So they had to invent their own culture to replace what we took. And that's the black culture, the American black culture, European black culture, whatever it is. But that's why there's a black culture. There's not a white culture. And to try to say that there is ignorant, racist. And this whole thing is just, and when she mentions white culture, she starts listing things off that are not white things. Everyone does a lot of the things that she lists, but to make them white things is even more racist. That's like saying politeness and cleanliness is a white thing. Yes, because no other culture has cleanliness and politeness. I mean, get fucked.
Now, palm color people do not have a culture. Like, white equates to a cultureless blank slate, only then colored by the ethnic minority communities. Like, WC is boring, or simply equates to a lack of culture many people from all different backgrounds may be led to believe. If it exists, then what is it? But characteristics of WS culture show up in organizations through their culture, which does not even exist if you ask me. Now, culture is powerful precisely because it is so present at the same time, very difficult to name or identify. The characteristics for white culture are damaging because they are used as norms and standards without being proactively named or chosen. Now, they are damaging because they promote WS thinking. One of the characteristics of WC is that their culture is powerful. Now, one of the reasons or purpose of listing characteristic of this culture is to point out how organizations which unconsciously use these characteristics as their norms and standards make it difficult, if not impossible, to open the door to other cultural norms and standards. By WC, I mean the dominant unquestioned standards of behavior and ways of functioning embodied by the vast majority of institutions in the United States. Because it is normalized, it can be hard to see which one adds to its powerful hold. Now, in many ways, it is distinguishable from what we might call US cultural norms, a focus on individuals over groups. For example, an emphasis on the written word as a form of professional communication, but it operates in even more subtle ways by actually defining what normal is, and likewise what professional, effective, or even good is. In turn, WC also defines what is not good, at risk, or unsustainable. Like it values some ways that are more familiar and come more naturally to those from a white Western tradition of thinking, behaving, deciding, and knowing, while devaluing or rendering invisible other ways. And it does this without ever having to explicitly say so. Now, the hiddenness of these norms is problematic, but so is the narrowness, which can limit the range of expressions that naturally will arise in racial equity work. Once again, WC left unexamined can hinder the full potential of racial equity work, explicitly or implicitly. The organization is choosing the perceived comfort of palm color people over people of color. Let's now take a look at some of the reactions from people in the comment section. This one reads, "I am a white person and I don't fit under her umbrella. This is some R to the cis rambling she's doing. There's no such thing as white culture. She has no grip on reality. White culture, articism, violence, and colonization. Black, red, brown, and yellow culture, she wants to fight. I think there is an American culture, and I think that it's heavily influenced by African Europe. Doesn't make it less genuine." Okay, these are a few comments from people, and if you ask me, I don't think WC even exists, because which culture are they talking about? Like, I don't know what you think, guys, but leave your thoughts in the comments. For me, it's a bye-bye, and thanks for watching. See you in my next video.